I used Twitter in order to gain feedback on my film from my target audience. This was to see if it conformed to the correct codes and conventions. Here shows an example of a tweet I received. I also used Facebook for feedback. This was more useful than Twitter as I had a lot more use for feedback and it was much easier. Here is an example of feedback which I received. It was important for me to get feedback in order to change my ancillaries and film. I also used Prezi. This was used to create different presentations in a different style than normal. It was useful as it enabled me to create interesting presentations easily. iMovie was the program which I used in order to create my film. To begin with, I didn't quite like it, but once I got used to it, I found it an easy and very useful program. Photobooth was used to create short clips of target audience talking. iPhoto was used in order to collect all of my media pictures into one place to upload to my Blogger. I also used Wordle. This enabled me to create pictures of words in order to collate all of my ideas easily together, along with my media terminology. Blogger has been one of the most important websites which I have used in media. It has been used for me to create a blog to insert all of my planning, final stages and evaluation in one easy place. I like Blogger as it is easy and simple to use as well as being very helpful. Following on from this, YouTube has been very useful to me, as it has enabled me to research other films which follow the same forms conventions as my film. It also enabled me to watch the clips in order to gain ideas. Not only this, YouTube has been the main place in which I've marketed my film, which is useful as it's a very popular site. I also used iTunes to gain music for my film. This was needed in order to build up more tension for the target audience, for them to enjoy the film more. DaFont was used in order for me to get font for my ancillaries and a title of my film. It offered me more variety than I had already got in the specific programs I was using, and I wanted the font to connote horror in order to attract my target audience. I have used SlideShare, as once I have created certain PowerPoints for my media, I have used it in order to put the PowerPoints onto my blog. It has been a very important and useful tool. I used Photoshop in order to create both my ancillaries and to edit them. It was a very important and useful tool. Here, as you can see, shows different examples of what Photoshop can do. And this shows the Photoshop logo. Photofunia was used in order to create different examples of what my film, poster and review would look like in real life situations. Google was a very important tool for me to use in order to find important information which I needed to create all of my aspects of my media to the best standard, such as searching for pre-existing horror and documentary film posters and film reviews. I also use YouTube to search for online tutorials if I was unsure how to use certain products or programs. As you can see, here shows an example of how to use QuickTime. I used my iPhone in order to take any pictures I needed, such as target audience and feedback pictures. This was very useful as it's a quick and simple way for me to do it. I use my MacBook in order to create my evaluation questions and several audience feedback videos. However, I use the Media MacBooks to create my film and ancillaries. They are very good and useful as they are up-to-date systems, so they are good to work with. I used emailing to keep me in contact with any information and feedback I was receiving from my teachers. I also used it when I wanted to send any work home when I was at school. It helped me a lot and was very useful. I use PhotoBucket to store pictures. It is an easy and useful tool as it keeps everything together as well as being a nice aesthetically pleasing way to demonstrate my images. Print screening was a tool which I used a lot. It was helpful to show my stages with my film and ancillaries, to show how I was progressing, as well as comparing and showing shots of my film to professional ones.